So if anything, I think Keyshawn can use this as fuel to put that much more of a beating on this guy because he came in with such an unethical manner, trying to get over on you.
Fight fans, it is time for Boxing Scene's top stories only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I am George D. Metellus. A quick reminder to download the ProBox TV app where apps are available. And a good reason to download the app is you get the insights from our world champions. We have Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi joining us here on Top Stories. Well, Gustavo Lemos created a little bit of controversy ahead of his Friday night fight against Kean Davis. The Argentine weighing in at 144.6 pounds, almost 10 pounds past the limit, and it fueled speculation that he did it on purpose because of the speculation that Davis might be fighting WBO champion Dennis Berinchyk in the future. Now, we all know the situation with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, and Ryan Garcia purposely coming in overweight in his matchup against Devin Haney, and the consequences we are well known with Garcia serving a suspension that will end April 20th. All right, Paulie, what can be done in cases like this when a fighter allegedly comes in overweight on purpose, not by accident, into a big fight like that? What are the consequences? What should the punishments be?
Should be you can probably go with suspension, fines, even fines on his next purse, after this, because if you're going to wind up canceling the fight, it's going to cost people money. You shouldn't really accept contracts at weights you can't make. Lemos obviously fought at 140 against Hitchens. So, he was already going to be fighting at a weight that maybe wasn't his best weight to begin with against Keyshawn, right? So I don't know. You're also going to run the risk when you do that if you get guys who are usually fighting at bigger weights to bring them down and try to drain them, you're going to run the risk that they show up overweight anyway. So that could also be kept in mind. But regardless, fighters have to take the responsibility for the weight. There should be pretty strict punishment because otherwise, this whole thing costs people money. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, tickets get sold, networks set aside money, TV slots. It's one thing on top of the other. It really is causes a real log jam, so to speak, in terms of the business ethics of the sport.
Yeah, Chris, what can be done to punish fighters who, if you believe the reports, the speculation that Lemos purposely went in overweight for a fight, what can be done to punish and kind of prevent this from happening?
Throw the damn book at him. This is a horrible precedent to set. And it seems to me, with Lemos, champ, you mentioned that he fought Hitchinson at 140. He used to fight at 135. He's not a really big guy, for 140. I think even when he fought Hitchinson, he came in like 138. So he came in 3 pounds lighter, 3.5 pounds lighter than he did for even this fight. It certainly seems that he's trying to take advantage of the situation, knowing right and well that Kean Davis is going to take the fight regardless. He is the headliner of a card in his hometown. He's got his 2 brothers on the undercard. Keyshawn's not turning this fight down. And coming up to a weigh-in like that, it's way too close to the fight to find a replacement. So I believe Lemos is doing this on purpose with a thought in mind that he's going to come in stronger and bigger, and not having to make that weight. I'd say, hefty fines, suspension, and Champ, you made a good point about maybe even finding his future fights. But listen, knowing Bob Arum, I've been around when guys don't make weight. He does not sit well with that. He likes to get his revenge on a fighter like that, and like I said, throw the book at him. So we'll see what happens after this fight. But hopefully, what happens, this doesn't affect the actual outcome of the fight. Hopefully, Kean Davis can go out there, do what he's supposed to do, because this is blatant. This is blatant, atrocious. There's no ethics, there's no morals to doing something like this. It's a really disgusting part of the sport, and unfortunately, there is a precedent for this. We've seen this. It makes me think of Castillo and Corrales in the rematch, where Castillo blew weight, goes out there and there was a fight of the year, the first fight. In the second fight, he cripples Corrales with a left hook and knocks him out pretty early. And then we saw again, like you mentioned, George, the Ryan Garcia affair with Devin Haney coming in 3.5 pounds over. Also fell for PEDs, which is actually what he got suspended for, and we know how that fight went. So this is a really troubling thing. As a fighter, man, your first fight is to make weight, and that is your job. To not do that, again, he knows that this fight was going to go forward either way. So I believe this is a calculated move.
Paulie, let's take a look at this from Kean Davis' perspective here, because now he's going into the ring with someone who is bigger than him. How does the strategy change for him, and how does he go approach this fight now, knowing the situation?
I mean, you can take it two ways. I mean, yeah, you can say that the guy's also bigger, but maybe he's less conditioned. Maybe he's not in as good a shape. You know, there's two sides to it. Also, I'm going to add on the part of Lemos going forward. You also burn bridges. You know, people don't want to work with you anymore. You know, you don't get calls for fights. You know, like you still gotta understand how to maneuver in the business and know how to network in the business and create a reputation for yourself where you're not difficult to work with. Because once you make that reputation for yourself, nobody calls you. You know, you're not going to get the call. You're not going to get the opportunities, and you're sort of blackballed within the business if you do things like this. So you got to be careful if you're Lemos, because otherwise you're going to spend the rest of your career in Argentina fighting in regular club fights, you know? So that's from one perspective. From Kean's perspective, yeah, Lemos is actually a guy who can fight. So you can't just ignore this that he blew weight like this. But I think at the same time, you know, you've got to still understand how to be the boss in the fight. And you've got, if the fight is to go on, you've got to put in your mind and put in your head that you are going to be the boss in the fight. Also, I think a lot of what Lemos probably gets fined, it might go in the pocket of Kean Davis. Who knows? Maybe this is a bit of a protest. Maybe it's something we don't know on the part of Lemos. Maybe he got underpaid in this fight and he took the fight anyway. But just because he might be angry that he didn't get a lot of money for this fight, that maybe he wanted to, and maybe this is his way of getting back. In which case, then, if Kean is getting a piece of the purse, probably not much anyway, you know. So that's not really going to do a lot for Kean if you're giving Lemos as part of Lemos' purse to Kean. If that's the case, these are all hypotheticals and ifs, of course, because I don't know. I'm not on the inside, but certainly a lot of things to keep in mind whenever a fighter blows weight, and we need to do more to prevent this kind of thing, because, like I said, it messes up the entire order, it keeps the entire show on unsteady ground.
Yeah. Carissa, what about for Kean Davis' perspective here? How much of a distraction is this for him? Because he's at home, now he has to fight a fighter who missed weight. How much does this weigh on his mind? How much of a distraction is it for him?
So before I get to your question, George, I did speak to some people over at Top Rank about, you know, the situation, because when I first saw this, I was like, all right, well, maybe this fight was announced kind of on late notice and Lemos is coming in. As you said, Champ, maybe he's deconditioned. That's not the case. Apparently he had plenty of time. He had a real training camp. Then I thought maybe, okay, he is an Argentinian fighter. Maybe he's coming from Argentina. I'm not sure where he did camp. Maybe he had travel issues. We've seen that before in past fights. Spoke with the insiders at Top Rank. No, it wasn't a problem. The guy was here on time, thinking that he was going to make weight, no problem. So that's what makes me think that this was, by design. And in terms of Kean, I've been in this situation before earlier on in my career, actually in my kickboxing career, where, again, I was the main event. It was my hometown people. Guy came in 8 pounds overweight. Blamed the conversion from kilograms to pounds as being the issue, because the guy was coming actually from Italy. So that the fight went forward. I didn't think twice about it. I said, all right, well, everybody came out for me. This is my main event. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to kick your ass. So it didn't bother me. It wasn't an issue. And I think if Kean Davis, where he's at in his career right now, the momentum, the fact that he's fighting at home, the fact that he's got his brothers on his card, I don't think it's going to wear on him all that much. He's a fighter. He's in shape. There's no confidence boost like being in shape. And at the end of a training camp, there's no higher than being in fantastic shape and ready to go and go do what you're going to do. So if anything, I think Kean can use this as fuel to put that much more of a beating on this guy, because he came in with such an unethical manner, trying to get over on you. And if he takes it like that, then, it actually can be a bit of a positive for Kean, and he'll look like a hero if he comes out with the victory. But again, there's the flip side of that. What if it doesn't work out? And that's when things get really sticky and tricky. So we'll see. And Champ, you made that point, like, you don't want to burn bridges, but he's recent signing to Top Rank. He gets burned his bridge here. Bob will probably release him, or whatever. This other promotions now. He can jump over. The guy can fight. The guy's really tough. He's actually entertaining in fights as well. So unfortunately, he's going to be able to sidestep and probably step into another company who's just going to look at this and be like, oh, well, as long as you make way for us, then come on over. So it's one of those. It's not a victimless crime, obviously, but also it's a crime that these guys can get away with, which is why we see it.
Yeah, it certainly will be fascinating to see what happens in the ring between Gustavo Lemos and Kean Davis. Kean Davis at home, he is a native of Norfolk, Virginia, so maybe that'll give him some extra motivation to go out there and beat Lemos. Of course, anything that happens in that fight, whatever controversies and the results, we will talk about it here on Top Stories. Remember to scan the QR code, like, subscribe, and leave your comments on our YouTube channel. Download the ProBox TV app where apps are available, because tomorrow, November 9th, you can see the Contender Series of ProBox TV with Nicolas Flaus and Christian Gomez as the main event. You can watch it on YouTube and on the app as well. I am George DeMatteis, and this is Boxing Scene's Top Stories.
ProBox TV Contender Series. It's Puerto Rico versus Mexico as Nicolas "Nico" Flaus returns to the ProBox ring to take on Christian "Ninote" Gomez. Darrell "Blast" Val Saint looks to keep his undefeated record against Angel Relampago Ruiz. And don't miss former world champion Jojo Diaz as he returns to the ring in search of glory.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.